my name is Julio. I'm joined by my other friend.
Hi, it's me. Hey, John, I didn't listen to the old man, and I went off into the moors during the full moon. Does this bite look infected to you?
You'll be fine. Oh, man. Yeah. We're talking, welcome to the podcast that's just at the intersection of gaming and monsters. Welcome to Scrub Mode.
It's just Julio and me this time, unless Ryan's internet comes back on.
He might jump in the middle. It'll be funny if he does. But yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be back with you, John. It's good to be talking again. Oh man. But yeah, we're talking werewolves today. It's a Monster Manual episode.
We're talking lycanthropes, which annoying to me is the D&D term for all the were things. So we got
That's true, huh?
Yeah, even though lichen is specifically wolf.
Were shark.
No so
were sharks.
Were shark is in the Salt Bay supplement, whatever it's called, Salt Marsh. So I'm not touching were shark.
Okay.
We're just sticking to the basic ones because already that was a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
They have some of the most boring stat blocks I've ever seen. The real listener, go look them up. They're just HP blocks that if they bite you, they can pass on the curse. You've seen a werewolf movie. You've read a werewolf book. You know how it works.
You know werewolves. You know, the full moon comes out. They come out too.
in D&D, if you're good enough, you can get a handle on the curse and shapeshift how and when you want to. Like
that movie, Underworld.
Twilight. Oops.
Yeah.
And in D&D, obviously they resist all damage but silver, classic werewolf trope. And they have 3 forms, I guess, because they were trying to encompass all the lore. Because sometimes a werewolf is a wolf that is a dude, and sometimes it's a wolf monster dude, and sometimes it's
it's just a big wolf. Sometimes,
yeah. So they can turn from a person, a normal person, or a monster man, or a beast,
Right.
So, also, everyone who talks about werewolves talks about, the Peter Stube werewolf case. I'm gonna skip that. I'm trying to bring you some of the juiciest, the most... I'll bring you the most exquisite werewolves from across the globe.
We're not getting Lawrence Talbot.
No, although okay. I do love the Wolfman movies.
Yeah, they're interesting.
First one's real good.
It is, and then he fights Frankenstein.
Yeah, I mean, we that's a whole other thing. It's being like, hey, the cinematic universe was the Universal monsters. It
really was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which is why the Dark Universe shitting itself and dying is so funny, but that's a story for another time, traveler.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the old werewolf story.
Lycaon?
No, we're going to skip that too, because everyone talks about that one. Have you ever heard of the Satyricon?
Nah.
So this was a satire of Roman high society written by a guy by the name of Gaius Petronius. During the reign of Emperor Nero.
Okay.
And so this is a story where a guy is going to... It's like the Great Gatsby of its day. It's a story where a courtier goes to an incredibly rich old man's house and just about all the fucked up characters that are hanging out there and all their fucked up stories.
I see.
And it's all supposed to be making fun of how rich people live while everybody else suffers.
I see.
Satyricon is satire, like the Necronomicon.
Right.
So the context, I have the full story here. It's 5 paragraphs. Do you want to read it, Julio?
Sure.
Let me see. Let me know if this rings a bell. So the context is that a guy by the name of Nikeros is super bummed out, and the Trimalchio, the host of the party, the Jay Gatsby of the story, is hey bud, you've been kind of weird lately. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that did not copy paste well. That's fine. I will just go through and do this.
Oops.
It's fine. It's fine. All right, here you go. Ugh. Oops. Come on, Discord.
There we go.
I had to do it in two parts, but yeah.
That's
5 paragraphs. Wow. You got this.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. When I was a slave, we were living in a narrow street where the home of Gavis is now. There was where the gods decided I would fall in love with the wife of Terence the Innkeeper. You do remember Melissa from the Tarentum, the most beautiful little package? By God, I loved her less for her body and sexcapades than I did for her fine morals.
It's Roman times.
I see. She didn't deny me anything. I saw it. She made a penny. I got half. I put everything I had into her lap, and I was never cheated. Her husband passed away at the inn one day, as you can imagine. I risked Skyla and Charybdis. I would get to her. Okay, hold on. So I could get to her. For as they say, friends are present in times of need. By chance, my master was visiting Capua in pursuit of some business. I took my chance and compelled the guest to accompany me to the 5th milestone. He was a soldier and as strong as Orcus. We blundered off around the time of the cock's crow while the moon was shining as bright as midday. We went among the graves, and my friend went among the stones to defecate.
Can't be shitting in the graveyard, dude.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I sat singing. Oh wait, what?
Yeah, you're there. I sat singing. You got it.
I sat singing and counting grave markers, and then as I looked for my companion, he appeared and placed all his clothes near the road. My breath nearly jumped out my nose. I was standing like a corpse, but he pissed around his clothes and suddenly became a wolf. Don't you dare imagine I'm joking, that I'm lying. I make up nothing for such an inheritance as this. But back to what I started to say. After he turned into a wolf, he began to howl and fled into the forest. At first I didn't remember where I was. Then I went to gather up his clothes, and they had transformed into stones. What could I do but die from fear? Well, I drew my sword and struck all the shadows before me until I made it to my girlfriend's home. I entered as pale as a ghost and sweat rushing from my groin, my eyes nearly dead. I could hardly regain myself. My Melissa was at first surprised because I had gone out so late. And then she said, I wish you had come earlier. You could have helped us. A wolf entered the house and loosed more blood from the ship than the butcher. He escaped, but he didn't laugh. An older slave tore his throat with a spear.
Okay. Are you saying?
Yeah.
Are you? Obviously, this is the first werewolf story, but we're recognizing some tropes, maybe.
Yeah. Once I heard these words, I could not sleep any longer. At first light, I fled at the home of Gaius like an angry landlord. But once I came to the place where his clothes had turned into stone, I found nothing but blood. Honestly, I went home, and my soldier was lying like a bull on his bed as a doctor who was tending to his neck. I knew that he was pelt changer then. I knew he was a pelt changer then, and I wouldn't have been able to share a meal with him even if you threatened to kill me. Let these men believe what they want about this, but if I was lying, let the gods hate me.
Okay, so that is a 2,000-year-old werewolf story right there.
Wow.
Thoughts? I'm shocked. Like, we talked about this in our Beast of Jovi Dawn episode, where, like, Silver doesn't show up till way later in werewolf lore, but the full moon is there.
Mm-hmm.
From this early on, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And the classic, I stabbed the werewolf, and I got home, and my wife, she had a cut on my hand, and that's when I knew my wife was the werewolf, sort of shit.
I see.
Did you like it?
It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the story of Thies of Kaltenbrunn?
Coltonbrun?
Yeah. Or the Livonian werewolf.
The Livonian werewolf. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's check it out.
Okay, so this is 1692. Livonia's like the Baltic countries, so like Estonia, Latvia, that kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, in 1692, this 80-year-old man was put on trial for heresy because he was saying that he was a werewolf.
Wow. Okay.
But he was a good guy werewolf.
I see.
Yes. He said that he was one of the Hounds of God.
Oh, wow.
And that 3 nights a year, he and all the other werewolves would meet up. That's the Pentecost, Midsummer Night, and St. Lucia's Night, which should have written down what nights those are. I'm not good enough. I'm not a Catholic. I can't tell you. But he said that they would all turn into wolves, and then they would go into hell and go fight the devil and witches. It's metal as fuck, dude. It's the most metal thing I've ever heard.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah. So he said that they had to go at those times when the grain was quote-unquote properly blooming, because that's when seeds are forming, and thus that's when sorcerers spirit away those blessings and take them to hell, which is like a fancy way of saying like the sorcerers are stealing all the crops, so he's got to go to hell and get the crops back so you can have a good harvest.
I see. Okay.
He says that his favorite technique was beating the devil and witches to death with iron rods.
With iron rods?
Yeah, in his werewolf form, I guess.
Wow.
But fear not, these are still werewolves. So after they had saved everybody's harvest and beaten the devil up, they would wander the local farms and rip apart any animal they found and then roast their meat on a fire.
Wow.
So the judges were like, hey, bud, if you were a wolf, how'd you start a fire?
Yeah.
And he was like,
how did...
he was like, well, by that point, we'd already kicked Satan's ass. So we were done being wolves.
Yeah.
We changed back into people for the barbecue.
Oh, man.
He said that the wolves like to salt their food, but you know what? They never ate bread.
They never ate bread.
So some...
Can't have carbs.
No carbs. That's how you be one of God's werewolves.
Gotta be keto.
I think we're making a bad influencer diet right here. Like we're bouncing in between like Liver King and Mark Wahlberg's weird Christian app. We're so close to selling supplements.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think God's Wolves is like on a really bad truck right next to a Blue Lives Matter sticker somewhere?
Probably. I could see that.
Okay, so it turns out that 10 years earlier, or 11 years earlier, Thies had already appeared in court because he said, like, hey, by the way, I'm a werewolf, and my neighbor, who is an evil sorcerer, punched me on the nose. Apparently his neighbor was a satanic witch, and so he turned into a werewolf to go kick his ass, but the neighbor had a broom decorated with horse tails and just bopped him on the nose, and that was enough to get him to stop.
I see.
So he... Knowing that his werewolf powers were useless, I guess he took him to court.
Wow. What year was this?
This is 1692.
1692.
Yeah.
Like 400 years ago, over?
Yeah, a little over 400 years ago.
Wow. Man.
The judges did not believe his story at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they did believe his story now that he had come back 11 years later, and they luckily did not sentence him to execution as he usually would for heresy, but he was banished.
Banished. He's like, get out of here.
Get out of here. You're too fucking weird. I think we should still be able to banish people.
Well, do I have good news for you, John?
No, I mean, like, I do not mean ICE. I mean the opposite of that. I mean, we as citizenry should be able to vote, like Athens, once a year. Just everyone could be like, Elon Musk can't live here anymore.
That would be funny. That'd be funny if we could do that again.
Yeah. How do you think vibes on the Werewolf of God?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very edgelordy.
Yeah, for an 80-year-old man, he sure is an edgelord.
He's pretty edgelordy, man. Wolf is a very edgelordy animal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's not their fault. They've been edgelorded by pop culture for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I don't know. Can we talk about Underworld?
Sure, hit me. I love Underworld, but it's not good.
It's not good. It's a great series, though.
Let me rephrase that. I loved Underworld when I was a teenager, but
Yeah.
I'm afraid to go back and rewatch them.
I'm a little afraid to go back and rewatch them, but I'm sure they hold up.
I mean, like I had some fun times watching Underworld and then playing Vampire the Masquerade. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was great.
Some good times in there.
Yeah.
What do you want to say? Do you have any specific thoughts about Underworld?
Not really. I just want to say it was a good movie. I don't know.
Do you think love can bloom on the battlefield
I would hope so.
between werewolves and vampires?
Yeah, it's a great Romeo and Juliet story.
Yeah.
You know?
At one point, what's her name shoots the ground with enough bullets that she falls, and that shit was just the coolest.
It was. I remember one time they ripped. Well, a lot of times actually, they just ripped the top part of the skull of wolves off. That was like their favorite way of killing them, to just pull their skulls off.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Vaguely.
It happened like 5 times in the movie.
In the first one? Jeez.
In the second one, I think.
I have very fond memories of the first one. Like, the next 3 get very muddy.
Yeah, I don't know. They get pretty crazy.
How about, this is, we're straying, but what we're talking about, weird have you seen Dracula Untold?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've heard of this one.
This is the Luke Wilson Dracula movie. It's got
Untold.
I like it because it's the one where it's like it's the You know, there are as somebody who studied Ottoman Turkey, there are like janissaries and stuff like that. It's putting them into conflict with the Sultan, which is sort of historically part of what happened. The Sultan has a cool moment where he sits in his treasure tent full of silver coins, so that Dracula can't get to him, because vampires, like most of these things, like we've talked about, are weight to silver. But it has one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in any movie ever, where Dracula's like, we don't have enough soldiers to fight all of Ottoman Turkey. I'm going to become a vampire to protect my homeland, so stop having to pay the boy tax. The janissary system, the boy tax.
Right.
So he becomes a vampire, and then the Sultan is like, so the problem is all my troops are afraid of Dracula. So if I blindfold my entire army, Dracula can't scare them. And he does, and it works. Like, Dracula went from 1v500ing to now that the soldiers can't see him, they're kicking his ass. And it's...
Wow.
It's so...
Oh, hold on. Let me pause real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I think they're good. I think we're good. Never mind.
The dogs are howling. They know we're doing a werewolf episode.
They do.
I was sure, sitting in that theater, one of the 7 people in that theater, I was sure that it's this is going to be another testament to the Sultan's hubris, and it's going to drive him mad or something. But nope, it works. So how do you defeat a vampire? You just blind a bunch of conscripts.
That's a silly plot.
It's so silly.
Well, oh man.
What's your favorite werewolf movie? Let's stop here.
My favorite werewolf movie? I hate to say it, but Van Helsing, I guess.
I think I love Van Helsing. I think Van Helsing's a lot of fun.
The one with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. I wish there were more of those. I wish it had become a Mummy-like franchise.
I wish. That would have been great. To see him go around fighting other monsters and shit. That'd be great. Maybe on a quest to try and find a cure for his werewolfedness.
Yeah. It's a great double feature with that, but it's a much worse movie, and Van Helsing's already not great, is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, I like League. I like League.
I like League too. It's not good, but I love it.
It's not good.
I was like, oh shit, wait, is there a werewolf in that movie? There's not. Mina Harker's in that movie. No werewolf.
There's a Dr. Jekyll, though.
It's a pretty good Dr. Jekyll design. Not as good as the Dr. Jekyll from the first 5 minutes of Van Helsing.
Yeah. That version of him is very Shrek-like to me.
Yeah.
Know?
Have you ever seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
Kyle MacLachlan plays Dr. Jekyll.
Oh, that's funny.
And he's the best part of like the first several seasons of that show. Is he like,
wow.
You don't know he's Dr. Jekyll until the reveal. He's going under his stupid comic book name, which is like Zeb Wells or something. No, Zeb Wells is the author. It's like, sorry, Zeb Wells, I love your works. It's a similarly weird name.
Yeah,
and he assembles a team of super shitty supervillains.
Super shitty supervillains.
Yeah, like a guy with knife fingers.
Oh man, I can't believe that we love to talk about like Razor Fist, right?
Yeah, I love Razor Fist. I can't believe Razor Fist was in the Iron Fist movie.
I know, he only had one Razor Fist.
Maybe he'll get a second one. On this sidetrack, enlighten the guests to who Razor Fist is.
Razor Fist is a Marvel supervillain who first appeared in the Toxin franchise. Toxin, as we know, is one of the many symbiote characters that have come from Venom.
Venom. Oh my god! The Eminem song ruined it.
A little bit, yeah. Oh man, but yeah.
I think he actually is older than that. I think he might have started as an Iron Fist bad guy, but Marvel was really trying to push him when we were teenagers as like an allegory for cutting yourself and why you shouldn't cut yourself.
And
it,
I see.
You know, I don't want to make fun of people, differently abled people, but it is very hard to conceive of how a man with knife hands, and that's his only superpower, I guess, and some kung fu training, can stand up against an alien tentacle monster. You know what I mean? It didn't seem...
It's very silly.
It's very goofy.
It's very goofy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Werewolves.
Where were I? Okay.
Werewolves are goofy.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because we have kind of a goofy werewolf now.
Sweet.
Have you heard of Old Stinker?
Old Stinker.
Old Stinker.
That's like the worst name for a werewolf.
He probably prefers to go by his other longer name, the Beast of Barmston Drain.
The Beast of Barmston Drain.
Much more, lets you know where he's from.
I see.
And by that I don't mean Barmston Drain, but Britain, because where else will you encounter names like that?
Right.
So he, allegedly the sightings of this werewolf date back to the 18th century, but upon actual research, he only dates back to 2015, so this is a fresh new werewolf. Only 10 years old. Yeah.
No way. People seeing werewolves in the modern day.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like I'm also skipping the Beast of Bray Road, because that'll probably be its own episode. Because it's a like, God, like dogmen are huge. Maybe they're not still huge. I don't hear anyone talking about them, but for a while dogmen were their own, like modern day werewolves, like dogmen were their own huge thing in cryptozoology. Like people were really into dogmen, and they're just not as big anymore.
Well, I'm sure we have the furry community to thank for that.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, it does is 20. Well, I'll get into the story, but that is somewhat plausible as an explanation. So he's called Old Stinker because he's got really bad breath, just like big feet do, just like Mothmen do. He's stinky.
Right.
And so the story goes that one cold evening in East Yorkshire, a truck driver was driving near Barmston Drain, which is like, it's like where a bunch of locks and canals flow. And so there's a history of people getting killed by being pushed into the Barmston Drain, but maybe it's just drunk people falling in. That's a different thing. We're not here to do true crime. Anyway, he says that he saw a pair of bright red lights. So he stopped, thinking that maybe somebody was in trouble. But as he got close, he realized that those weren't like the taillights of a truck, but two giant eyes. And they were attached to a giant, over 6 foot tall, wolf-like bipedal humanoid that stepped out onto the road and looked at him. And he says he got a pretty good look at it because it like lurched into his truck's headlights. He wasn't confused.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was covered in shaggy fur. And apparently it slammed into his truck with such force he thought it was going to smash through his windshield and get him.
Holy shit.
Does not say how this encounter ended. I assume the beast just ran away. But like as soon as he made this report, people all across County Hull began reporting more sightings of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently somebody says that just attached the name Old Stinker to him, claiming it comes from the 10th century, but that's also not true.
Really?
Yeah, apparently, like Brian Dunning from the Skeptoid has done research into this, and the very first mention is at 2015, and the historian who was allegedly supposed to have given him that name was like, that person never talked to me, I never wrote that book, they made it up, they just used my name.
I see, so it's all just make-em-ups.
I guess, but the people were reporting sightings.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so a woman who sighted the werewolf in December told the Express that it stood upright one moment, then the next it was on all fours, running like a dog. I was terrified. It vaulted 30 feet over one side of the canal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Over to one side and vanished up the embankment and over the wall into some allotments. She said that she watched it run both on 2 legs and on 4 legs. Another person said that they saw something tall and hairy eating a dog next to the channel.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That's classic. Have you ever heard of the Beast of Bray Road when I dropped that before?
No, I don't think I did.
A lot of Dogman stories, a lot of modern werewolf stories have them eating roadkill or eating dogs by the side of the road, and that's when they get seen. So this is like pretty part and parcel for that.
Okay.
But the weird thing here is that why it says like, hey, maybe it was somebody with an advanced fursuit is and again, no hate, we love our furry listeners, but wolves have been extinct in England for 500 years. The last ones were killed around 1500. So I guess it could have been a big dog. You get Irish wolfhounds, but not no wolves to mistake it for.
Right. Pretty spooky, I guess.
I guess. I tried to hype it up, but yeah, I don't know. It's a recent werewolf sighting.
I see. There's no like pictures, right? Nothing.
There's no pictures. There's some like fan art and stuff, but there's no pictures.
Okay, I'm sure.
Let's see. How about have you heard the tale? Let's move on from werewolves.
Yeah.
Let's move to our other werecreatures. How about werebears? You got thoughts on werebears?
I think they're kind of cool, I guess. If you want, like, could do a werewolf, but like bigger, I guess.
I kind of like it if you try to tie like some like Celtic or Viking imagery in there.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I
don't know.
So like,
where are there stories of people actually turning into bears from like mythology and stuff?
There are not really. There are bears that can turn into people, but there aren't like a lot of werebears. You know what I mean?
I see.
So like one of the few that kind of fits is the story of Bjorn from like Danish folktales. I don't know if you're up on your Hobbit stuff, but Bjorn means bear, and Bjorn is the character in the Hobbit who lets him chill with him, who can turn into a bear.
Right.
So this is probably where Tolkien got it from, because he loved sagas.
Right.
So in the Danish sagas, Bjorn was a good fighter, but a normal guy who got turned into a bear by a witch. But he was sort of a reverse werebear in that during the night he would become human again.
I see.
And during the day he was a bear.
During the day he was a bear.
Which kind of sounds ideal, because then you don't have to go to work, because you're a bear.
It does sound nice, huh? I could just be a bear.
Did we take you to the zoo? I can't remember.
Yeah, we went to the zoo.
I love the bears at our zoo so much.
The bears are cool.
They one of the bears ate a bunch of ducklings. Ducks. Yeah, when they in front of a small child's party, and the kids loved it, but it like made the local news.
It did.
Anyway, I love the bears. They spend most of their time goofing with each other or napping or swimming, and that just sounds real nice. That sounds like a great way to spend the day. Yeah. And when it's cold, you get to be a person. You can come inside.
Yeah. Oh man.
Any day. One day, or I guess one night, while Bjorn was in human form, he met a woman named Bera, which also means bear.
Bera.
Bera and Bjorn.
Bera and Bjorn. Let's see.
They had 3 sons, one of whom was like a weremoose or a half elk, half moose man.
Okay.
One became a criminal, and he had the feet of a dog, or was like a half dog man.
Okay.
And the guy we're going to talk about today, his name was Bodvar Bjarki.
Jerky.
Bjark.
Is he a dog boy?
No, confusingly, he's the bear boy.
He's the bear boy, I see.
So he just grew up, he appeared to be a normal human, and he just grew up like big and strong.
Okay.
He's not as much of a werebear as his dad is. He's just a big, strong boy. And he's sort of like, what's the name for this trope? He's like the Wolverine or the Worf for the Danish king. Like, he's the big, tough, heavy guy, and when he gets fucked up, shit's bad.
I see. Okay.
So he's
the Juggernaut. He's the Juggernaut.
He's the Juggernaut, yeah. He's the heavy hitter for the Danish king and all these folktales.
I see.
He's the best fighter. And in one of these stories, there is like a rebellion happening. It's like some of the king's relatives are rebelling. It's a successful rebellion. The king might be overthrown. They're all the way up to the castle gates. And Bodvar is like, I got a plan. Leave me alone, though. So he stops fighting and he goes back inside the castle. And everyone's like, God, we really need our best warrior out here. People are bummed the fuck out that he's not here. But a giant bear that seems to be immune to weapons shows up and starts killing only the rebels.
Oh, shit.
So people are like, well, this is sweet, but we still miss Bodvar Bjarki. So Bodvar's sidekick, Hjalti, goes to find him and sees him in the castle. Depending on the version, he's either like asleep and dreaming, or he's in a trance. I guess he's meditating. So Hjalti is like, wakes him up or snaps him out of the trance or whatever, and of course the bear disappears and they start losing the battle. And he's like, brother, I told you to leave me alone. And like, the sagas continue from there. They fight regular wars, but I guess he could dream bear. He could warg. His mutant power was that if he slept just right, he could form a giant psychic bear.
Okay.
Does that do anything for you?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Psychic bear powers.
Psychic bear powers, and a dad who uses a bear every night, every day, and is a man every day.
Yeah. Oh, man.
A somewhat richer vein, where there's like actually a lot of different stories, is how about like werecats?
Werecats?
Yeah, werecats.
I remember that Scooby-Doo movie.
I thought you were going to talk about like the I think it's the movie with the first jump scare is cat people.
Cat people?
Yeah.
I don't know that one. It's definitely, you're not thinking of Cats, the recent one, right?
No, I love Cats, the recent one, and I still am threatening to force you to watch it.
I need to watch it. Oh, man.
I'm trying to decide whether I should be like, well, go in sober so you can like really raw dog the horror. I'm like, no, go in high so you'll like can have the worst trip of your life.
That'd be funny.
Again, there is a scene in Cats where Judi Dench in horrible cat CGI stares at the screen for way too long, like right down the barrel of the camera, and tells you that a cat is not a dog. And it felt like fucking MK Ultra. Like seeing Judi Dench's 30-foot tall head just looking at me. It was like saying an obvious phrase with the horrible CGI, because it's like, the thing about the CGI is the faces don't ever quite connect right to the body, so her face is floating a little bit. Like, I was losing it. Anyway, go see Cats.
Okay, I'll go see Cats.
Don't see it without me. I want to be there when you lose your mind.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll watch it together.
God. Cats.
I know my wife wants to see that one.
Does she? Is she okay with me scream howling throughout the entire thing?
I know, maybe.
We'll check.
We'll check.
I hope your wife isn't an actual Cats fan, because I've just said some pretty mean things about cats.
I guarantee you she is not.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right, so we got tales of
Where?
were-tigers, which like do exist in like Thai folklore.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, you know how like when we were talking about yokai, it's like if a thing lives long enough, it becomes a supernatural creature.
Right, right.
This is sort of like that, but it's if a tiger eats enough human hearts,
Oh wow.
it can.
It becomes.
It can become a were-tiger. It can gain the ability to shapeshift from human to tiger form, so it can better sneak in and out of villages and eat more people.
Wow.
Which is pretty dope.
That's cool. I like that story.
I think that might be a good twist, not to jump the gun, but like, hey man, we've given you all sorts of ways you can fuck with the werewolf rules. Like, what if your were-ex is not a person who is cursed to be a thing, but a thing who is cursed to be a person?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that idea. It freshens things up a little bit.
We were talking about this a little bit off mic, but like, well, can you imagine a worse curse than being a person?
Oh man. You have to get a job and go to it every day.
Yes. Slight spoiler for the game outside, but one of the party members in the game Look Outside that you can get is you can befriend the roaches in your apartment, and they eventually morph together into a giant collection of roaches in human form and help you try to survive this Lovecraftian nightmare happening outside. And if you ask the roaches how they're doing now that they have human level sentience, they're like, we hate this. We hate watching the news.
Yeah.
And tax season is coming up and we all have to file individually. It's a good bet.
That's funny.
Go play that. It's great. Great game. Really, just beat it twice. Huge fan.
I gotta check that one out.
So yeah, what's the worst curse than having to be a human?
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also in Thai folklore, there is a creature called my Thai's not great, a Tsue Saming, or just a Saming for short. Mm-hmm. And these are sorcerers. This is the reverse. So these are sorcerers who turn themselves into tigers for doing evil.
Doing evil.
Yeah. Apparently, according to Zainal Abidin bin Hamid, there's a lot of oral stories of were-tigers cool. In Indonesia.
Right.
Apparently, they're called Dato Paroy. Or, specifically, one tiger named Dato Paroy was like, allegedly he'd taken control of an entire pack of tigers in the Negeri Sambalan and was like using this huge pack of tigers as a were-tiger to like break into villages and kill and eat everybody.
Wow.
So ready-made villain right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know why I'm rooting for the Tigers. I know it feels like it's rough to be a Tiger.
Oh my god. I mean, I don't want to get into the bummer news, but yeah, it's like there's not a whole lot of Tigers left, man. I'm on the Tiger side.
Yeah.
Have I mentioned, did I tell you about going to the Halloween event at the Smithsonian Zoo? If I mentioned that story on the podcast, seeing the tigers at night?
I don't think so, no.
So, Smithsonian, when I was working in DC, Smithsonian Zoo is free to go to, right?
Right.
And usually they close when, sort of in the evening, but for Halloween they were open late and they had circus performers there, like fire eaters, contortionists, knife throwers. And like a bunch of food trucks and stuff, and it was a great time. And as fun as, and they also had bunches of beers and alcohol from local breweries.
That's fun.
And as fun as this was, my favorite thing about the night was the tigers, because the tigers are sort of in a big pit at the Smithsonian Zoo in DC. And there was this moment, like, you look at a tiger, right? And you're like, how's that camouflage work? They're bright orange and black, right? Like, you can see them coming from a mile away. But at night, like, we were at the tiger exhibit, and we were like, we don't see the tigers, and then suddenly the light hit one of their eyes, and we realized there were actually 5 tigers just out in the open looking up at us. Like, the camouflage, the light, the moonlight through the dappled leaves, like, something about the light quality of the blue light hitting their orange fur made them look night brown. It was fucking crazy. I've never seen camouflage that good. It was insane.
Yeah.
And I like
they're sneaky.
I got one of the best scares of my life where like I could feel like it was a real brainstem thing of like, oh no,
Yeah.
I am now within 15 feet of 5 large predators.
Yeah.
I have fucked up.
Yeah. Time to die.
Yeah, that's what my brain said. It's like, you're gonna die! Because the camouflage was just so good, and they were so silent despite being so big. It was crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, tigers are cool. I'm on the tiger side.
Yeah, same. Were tigers. What about the stories of the hyena men?
Oh yeah, we'll get there. Let's take a quick stop and just say that like if we expand it to like other big cats, obviously jaguars are important in Mesoamerican culture.
Yeah, that's true. Ocelot.
Yeah, ocelot. Oh my god, I love an ocelot.
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about the jaguar warriors, which were like sort of like berserkers put on the bear skins and get some bear traits. The jaguar warriors put on the jaguar skins, get some jaguar traits.
Yeah. That shit's awesome.
Pretty cool. There's allegedly were-jaguars in their mythology. And similarly, like for the Olmecs, we know even less about them, but like specifically the man that turns into a jaguar or the jaguar that turns into a man is like a really common motif in Olmec art. And current research says that they're somehow linked to their rain god. So, like, yeah, neat. Jaguar is also very pretty.
Yeah. Big cats in general, just beautiful creatures.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest big cat guy, but, like, they're pretty. Can't deny they're graceful. But yeah, so D&D has wereboars. Ain't nothing like a wereboar in myth that I found. Ain't nothing close. D&D also has were-rats. I do have a werish rat for you coming up. But I have my last section here I just called Weird Wares. I got a couple of weirdos for you, including the were hyenas.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So, were hyenas, as you might expect, are a thing in many parts of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, sources on this are a little sketchy, but apparently in Ethiopia, blacksmithing was, like, a skill closely associated with witchcraft and wizardry, right?
Right.
And in, we've talked about this before when in some other African mythology, they have this a lot of African mythologies have this really cool take that like being a weaponsmith, being a blacksmith is basically magic because you're doing alchemy, right? Like you're taking one thing and transforming it into another thing.
Yeah.
You're taking rocks and turning them into useful tools,
Yeah.
So a lot of blacksmiths, historically were thought of being not just magic, but like we're hyena people too.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
So like we also like in Ethiopia they're specifically called the Buddha because there's this case of Jewish blacksmiths that are thought of being were hyenas for like racism tradition, but like it's like despite being magic, blacksmithing is still a dirty profession, right?
Oh,
it's hard work.
Yeah,
you just get sweaty and smoky, so it was like not a thing that the Christians did as much. So just like jewelry crafting, it became a thing for the Jews. And so you can kind of see like anti-Jewish beliefs mixing with like werewolf beliefs to give us this Buddha, this were hyena.
I see. Wow.
I think it's pretty interesting.
It's interesting how people have been othering, their fellow man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In Sudan and Tanzania, we have more were hyenas, but these ones are specifically sorcerers that turn into hyenas to eat people.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like a weird thing in these parts of the world where like I'm not going to quite nail this. I'm trying to summarize a lot, but the idea is that like witches are basically a separate species,
right?
It like from humans, and that so there's like an evolutionary almost line of witches that have culminated in were hyenas, which is another like cool idea.
Interesting.
Maybe a little J.K. Rowling-y. I don't know.
A little bit, yeah.
Then we got the in Morocco. There are also were hyenas, but here the stories seem to be about, once again, not a person who gets cursed to be a were hyena, but a hyena who gets cursed to be a person.
I see.
Hate to see it happen.
Hate to see that. Like, imagine the worst possible thing that could happen to an animal.
Having to pay taxes.
Having to pay taxes.
Having to navigate health insurance.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Let's see. What else we got here? All right, so I've got... I guess that leaves us with our weirdest one for last.
The weirdest one?
The weirdest one, yeah.
What's the weirdest one?
So the weirdest one is the queen rat.
The queen rat?
Yes.
A were-rat?
A were-rat of sorts.
Okay.
Who gave a little ratly curse. Well, we'll get there. So, like, again, there's no real-world thing for were-rats like there is for wereboars. But this is the closest I could find, and this is a weird story. So, Julio, do you know what a tosher is?
No, I do not.
If I had to ask you where in the world the word tosher comes from, could you give me a stab?
England?
Yeah, you got it. You got it, buddy.
I had a feeling.
So toshers or mudlarks or muckrakers were the people who would scamper around in the banks of the River Thames. The big river in London, to look for valuables that people had dropped or had fallen off boats or whatever. And the more adventurous toshers would even go into the sewers, where it was a lot more dangerous because it was dark, you could get lost, you could drown. There are pockets of unbreathable gases, but also people tended to drop more money down the sewers than they did into the river. So there was like many of the horrible Victorian there's so many horrible Victorian jobs. This is just one of them.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Crawling through the sewer looking for shit to sell.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So among the Todgers, there's the Toshers. There's the legend of the Rat Queen. So this was a powerful rat that, if she took a liking to you, she would transform into a beautiful woman and then lure you off somewhere. And if you were good, if you laid pipe well, if you know what I mean.
I see.
Yeah. If you were a giver, as Chapel Roan would say.
Yeah.
She would reward you with a lifetime of good luck, which in this case meant finding more jewelry in the poo-poo. Another power is if she bit you, she gave you a hickey. This would leave a permanent mark that meant that all the other rats knew not to bite you. And this mark could allegedly be passed down to her children. So they would be even better toshers than you were.
I see.
But she was also easily scorned. And, like, if you offended her, or if you suspected her true identity, which, like, you and me, Julio, we're toshers. I see a hot woman in the sewer. My first thought is that's the Rat Queen, because otherwise, what is a hot lady? Very hard to not suspect her of.
Yeah, very hard. I can see that.
But she would give you eternal bad luck. You would never find anything good, and you would starve or get shipped off to Australia.
Damn.
You know how it goes in Victorian England.
Right.
Would you like to hear a first-hand account of this Rat Queen?
Oh, hell yeah!
All right, this will be a good one to sort of wrap it on before we pitch around some ideas. So in 1890, a tosher by the name of Jerry Sweetley was on his deathbed and confessed to encountering the shape-shifting rat.
Oh, wow.
So get ready for some Victorian age stuff.
Oh, boy.
So when he was 15, he was 15 at the time, and his girlfriend was pregnant, so she was not with him. He decided to go to the pub.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was there, he found a very beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they drank and they danced, and then eventually she was like, come have an affair with me over in this abandoned warehouse. And he was like, sweet. Sweetly was like, sweet.
Yeah.
But while they were getting down, she bit his neck, and he didn't like that, so he was taken aback by the gesture, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
This, whatever he did, caused the woman to vanish, so he was suddenly alone in this abandoned building, but lying above him in the rafters was a giant rat.
Oh.
It dropped a piece of fabric that matched the shirt collar that had just been bit by her.
Oh.
And then, I guess in a human voice, the rat warned him that, well, he'd get his luck. He hadn't yet finished paying for it.
Oh.
And indeed, he had bad luck for much of his life, because his girlfriend, who was, again, pregnant while he was 15, died, giving birth, and his child died too. His next partner, whom he had 6 children with, fell into the river and then was crushed by a boat.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So one thing he notes is that eventually he did, he's telling the story to his son, so he eventually did have a family. But he thinks the Rat Queen's good luck was passed into his daughter, who had 1 blue eye and 1 gray eye, allegedly like the rat lady, and she had very acute hearing. And this story claims that one person like that is born into the family every generation. So I don't know where the Sweetleys are, but allegedly they still have were-rat benefits.
Were-rat luck.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Isn't it a weird one?
That's very strange, yeah. It rings true of, like, those classic stories of the siren,
Yeah.
I guess
but, like,
it's very like that.
I thought for sure reading those stories that, like, okay, so you get, you're with your Tasha friend, and he gets lured off by a woman, and then, like, you find his body floating in the river the next day. But no, she just wants to fuck.
Yeah, she just wants to fuck, I guess.
Yeah.
Man,
what if she's still there? I mean, toshing became illegal.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And obviously you can't get into the sewers now without proper stuff, but, maybe she's still down there somewhere, being like, where are all the cute men covered in bodily fluids?
Maybe. Oh, man. This is a weird one.
Yeah. I guess we got a few minutes left. You have a favorite were-creature? Do you have a favorite use case? Do you have any punch-ups?
Call me old-fashioned, but I like the old school, like, werewolf, I guess.
It does seem like we got it on the first try.
Yeah. I don't think we need to be making were-rats and were-bears.
No.
Other were-mammals. Except for a were-shark. I think that's kind of dope.
I do think a were-shark's kind of cool.
Yeah. But, thank you, John.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This is a fun one. Thank you for listening, listener. Thank you, Jesse Sanders, for making our music. Check out our link tree. I'd appreciate it. You leave us a comment, rate us. We'll shout you out. And we'll just see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.